Well, I took my break and I came back. I was already at my computer. I was just catching up on some info like nerdrotic on YouTube. That Jon Snow, the actor, he actually checked himself into a rehab, which is really good when you can check the box and saying I need help. When you can do that, there's so much good that comes from that. Saying I need help and you're aware of that and you actually go towards it. Fantastic. Good job on him. I didn't know that he was married to the wildling or whatever it's called, the free folk woman with the red hair on the show in like season 3 or 4 or wherever. Because I thought that was when they had that sex scene, I thought it was that they really like there's some chemistry there. That's so cool. And then I just realized today that they were actually married. So I recalled that scene and that the scenes that they had together. There was so much chemistry between them. Wow! And anytime that Jon Snow had any type of relation with somebody else, I never felt like there was another connection or anybody on the show that had a greater connection relation with a either intimate relationship or just a bonding relationship more than that. Personally, I did not know that until today that they were actually married, which again it shows it's hard to fake good chemistry. It's hard to fake good chemistry or sincere chemistry. There's good acting, but when there's just those little unconscious movements that or facial expressions you make to another person, or interaction with how you hug or how you just like I don't know. There's that playfulness that may come out, and I think that's what I caught on. I don't know. I just loved that. It was a tragic ending between the two, and I never really got that same feeling from the two, which I didn't realize that they were married. That's so cool. But he's in rehab. It's really cool that he checked himself in, knowing he needed help. That's so cool. That's such a phenomenal moment for any celebrity who has gone through 9 years of probably one of the greatest or most popular films ever, or a TV series that may ever be in your life, and saying, "Well, now I've achieved the top of I'm now at the top of the echelon of society. What else is there? Somebody goes to the moon, and then they come back. An astronaut goes to the moon and comes back, goes to space and comes back. What else is there? I've achieved what most in the entire universe have never achieved. In the entire human history have never achieved, period. I've achieved it, but I don't feel happy. Now what?" So that's, again, fulfillment. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So, okay. Let's get on with this one. The last video that I had, I finished up the third playlist from the processing tutorial on the Coding Train's website, or from Daniel Schiffman, and this is going to be number 4, the variables. There's 4 total videos within this playlist. Each of them are around variables, so let's get right into it. And what I like to do is I like to skip to the main topic, the main points, and then try to figure it out rather than just listening to him. I've tried listening in the background can, I think, be a good importance, but I'm here to understand it. And for me to understand it, for anybody who's new here, I am learning how to program, and to do that best for me requires that I communicate, use my hands, communicate and verbally as though you were here with me, to communicate my thought process, why I think that should be an idea. I catch myself on some BS. I don't at times. I may run into failures, but it's the process of learning, the process of thinking that's the most important part for me. I need to think out loud to think effectively. If I don't, then I'm just bottling up an emotion inside of me, and it needs to be expressed. When I express it, I either fail or don't, but more importantly, I need to be able to communicate that process. I mean, right now I feel vulnerable, maybe, saying it that way. I've said it so many videos. I want it to be where I don't have to say that anymore, because at the very beginning of the video series, I understand that if anybody comes to my video series and says like, "Well, what is this guy trying to do?" Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I want people to know that when you come to my channel or something, it's like, even if you may fail or not, whether regardless of the logic, you're trying to figure out, and that's what I enjoy about your channel. It's one of the reasons I love and respect Daniel Schiffman. He tries and even at times fails. He has people in the chat when he's doing things live and says like, "Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, let's put that in there." His code is so large and extensive that, we're all humans. Taking all things into account doesn't work. Having a hive mind, which is good like that, which is good when it's directed. A hive mind is not necessarily a good nor a bad. When you get a group of people to think in one direction productively, yeah, well, again, it is productive. Well, it's not necessarily productive, but getting a hive mind to be productive by getting a bunch of people to think and act towards a certain direction, and then having one leader or something is a really good idea. Whether or not I'm a leader. Okay, wow. Oh man, I hit maybe an emotional wall just now. Because maybe I'm thinking, I don't know why. The best thing for me is to go towards my goal. And so right now, just to make certain that my microphone is on, which it is. Okay. Let's start with the video.
Okay.
So
here we are.
Here we are.
Just
what?
Cute and simple and fun and, well, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying.
Is that what we're going to create?
So here we go. What's happening?
Actually, what I noticed that is happening is that the center point of the circle that's bouncing on the edges is what is bouncing. Not the edges of the circle, but the center point is what hits. Not the edge of the circle is what hits, but the very center of it hits.
White circle, and it is bouncing around this. Not moving. There.
I'm curious how to create that.
0, 180 over and over again.
Yeah. Okay, so this was already created, so let me go ahead and create another processing. I can go ahead and exit that out. I'm going to save this as... Oh. Yeah, I have to create another one. So new 4 variables. Enter. And this shall be called variables. 4-1 variables. 2019, May 30th. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay. So void again. Void in front of the word of the function set up. This is going to be a static activity. It's going to only happen once. This is create canvas. Create canvas. So I'm going to do size. I like to do 750 with 500 by 750. That should work. A semicolon. Thinking out loud, man, that takes a lot out of you. At least for me. So this is really good practice. Like, what you're doing is so simple. Yeah, I know. Or do I know? Oh man, it's just the thinking process aloud is... It's like squeezing juice from not a cantaloupe, grapefruit. Just like the whole grapefruit. Even if you just chop the grapefruit in half and started squeezing, it's like starts. Yeah, it took a lot of effort. So void, and it's I think the word would be effort, not necessarily difficult, which I think it would still be a difficult activity. So we're going to create the background. The background in the draw function is going to loop the background to be printed at the beginning of the draw function, which is a continuous loop. So whatever we put on the whatever we put on the canvas will always have a refreshed background when we put background in the draw function. So this is actually going to be the same. He says 50. I kind of want to go with 150. No, 125. 150. 100. 125. 150. Let's go with 150 because whatever. Fill is the color, is the shade or color of the inside of the ellipse, and I want to make it green for some reason. Let's go with green. 255. Oh, actually green. Gotcha. 0, 255, 0. And creating an ellipse, it's going to be 0, 180, because I don't know. Let's go with 200. Why not? And then 25, 25, not 24. So I'm going to press play and see how what's created. Oh, I actually want to make it go out. Let's make this go 100 by 200. Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, we'll go with that.
What if I go and type in, right, if I go and type in mouse X, this is what
Ooh,
we did.
oh, dang it. I didn't want to see that. I wanted to actually see what happens. So if I do mouse X, does it should constantly update. Oh! This is, if we were to use this exact same example in a specific game, Ball Breaker, whatever it's, Ball Buster, Breakout, the game Breakout, where you have a thing at the bottom of the screen, a platform where there's a bouncing marble that goes and hits the blocks at the very top of the screen, and you're trying to delete all the bricks in the game, and then you can move on to the next level, which is a phenomenal game. This is the same principle. That is pretty cool. So you can make in processing your own you can make your own platform game. So if I was to do that, I want to make an ellipse. I want to make a, let's just say rectangle. A rectangle, and I want to bring that mouse down, which I would have to increase the number, to, let's just say 675. Play. So it should be near the bottom. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that is so cool. And it's going to be by 25 by, I want a wider length. Let's go with 125. So I'm going to press play. Oh, gotcha. Length by width, or width by length. I don't know, but X by Y. That was my mistake. So this should be 125. This should be 25. Play. So if I was going to create my own breakout session, my breakout game, this is what I would do. I'd probably make this a little bit shorter. So let's go with 100. Yeah, look at that, son. Ooh, I want to bring this up to 650. 660 probably work even better, but round numbers. Yeah, look at that little breakout game. Now, if there was a small circle that would fall out, oh man, that is so cool. Yeah, it doesn't take much to create the breakout game. And then what type of powers you would have available? Whoa. I think creating the breakout game would be really, really cool. So I'm gonna make that as into a question. So, just for my notes for today, I am going to. Well, let's go back with all those spaces. Control backspace. There we go. How to create the breakout game in processing. I'm going to say video there's one, if I can store this code, it should reference everything else. Because if I can at least look at something tangible, then I can start creating greater ideas that are based around that idea of breakout. So I'm just thinking out loud. I'm going to continue on with the processing tutorial, but I want to come back to this idea just for a second. If there was a bouncing ball, an ellipse or a circle that was to bounce around with a certain velocity, whatever the certain parameters would be, I would be developing as I go, just generalizing the ideas of right now, being as specific as possible, is that when the ball hits this paddle, depending on where it was to hit from the center. If it hits on the side, it would probably act as a different way. And if it doesn't, that's probably one thing I need to take into consideration if I was to do a breakout game. But once the ball, just following my mouse here, goes up here and hits here, I don't want it to hit the center. Oh, exactly the exact same thing with my mouse right now. I would need to have that paddle to be in the center. So I'm going to do, what is it? It's mode. What is the command? Okay. Yeah, when I upload a video, it says that it's private, but I have to click. It's weird. Hey, Daniel Schiffman's doing a live feed today. We're doing it right now. It's pretty cool. So, center shape. Shape mode? No. Oh, there we go. That should be the command. Yeah, look at that. Now the shape is in the center of wherever the mouse is. The paddle is centered. Yeah, just one little thing after another of improving it. So the circle, what I would want, the exact same thing with the paddle. I don't want the paddle or the ball or anything going outside other than down. I don't want it to go outside of the wall to the left, top, or to the right, the roof, or to the ceiling, or to the right. I want it, if it was to fall down, I want it to fall down all through the bottom. And once it goes past the bottom, I want it to delete. I don't want to keep that memory. It goes down, not forever. It just, once it goes down, it deletes itself or something. I think that'd be pretty cool. And then, however you would make the wall, the one shape act like it can't get past that wall, doing the exact same thing for each brick that would be laid. And when the ball hits the brick, each brick, very simply, like the first level, you have to hit each one 3 times to remove it. But when you hit it, it changes the shape or color of the brick. Maybe it starts out as solid gray, just not the background, but let's just say, let's go with white, and then every time it's hit, it changes. Or maybe red, green, blue, or something. Just maybe it either gets lighter or maybe it gets darker. But to know that there is a difference of it. Maybe bright green, a bright color, a bright like bright yellow, bright red or something, and then each time it gets hit, it would go darker. I'd love to create a different image, like a crack in it, and then when it's hit a second time, it's just jagged all the way through. That when you hit it the next time, it disappears. And even creating an image, not an image. What would you create there? How would you animate a specific activity of it breaking apart? Would you have to you'd probably have to program that very specifically. But if I was to do it very simple, I'd make it where like it's collapsing. Just a very simple macro or function that after it hits for the third time, that the brick creates like an ellipse, a round ellipse, a rounded rectangle, and then it turns into an ellipse, and then it just like goes in on itself or something. That would, I think, be pretty cool. Yeah. And then each time you delete one. Now, if we were going to go with powers, oh, this is actually pretty cool thought process. So if we were going to go with powers, it randomly, each brick has a random chance to generate a particular ability. If the ball was to go faster, if the paddle comes into contact with one of those powers, the power disappears, but activates for a certain amount of time, probably for like 60 seconds, 15 seconds, of the ball going faster, or just it's permanently faster. And you would just increase the velocity by 10%, which I think that'd be pretty good. You increase it by a set number or something. And very simple activities like that can create the breakout game. Again, that's pretty cool. So I spent, what, like 10, 15 minutes? Yeah, probably, on just the breakout game idea. Wow, and that's pretty cool, because now I have actual control, or at least I'm going in the direction of it. I don't know how to do all of it, but those are very practical ideas, and that's what I've been needing with my life when it comes to at least programming, but again, with my life, period. My life. To actually having practical ideas. I've had a lot of dreamy ideas, and they've failed me a lot, because it's like, well, what about this? Okay, well, what if I... And being able to talk with somebody, man, that's been able to help so much. So let's get with this.
What if I go and type in, now it's where the mouse is.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If I go and type in circle X.
Circle X? Okay, I'm curious what that is. I don't want to see him do it before I do it. Circle X?
First of all, it doesn't turn pink.
Yeah.
Austin has no idea what circle X is, and if I run it...
Oh, because it's a new variable he's creating. So I think what he's going to be doing, I have created a rectangle, not a circle. If I understand this correctly, I'm presuming he's going to create mouse X, or the center of the X, to be mouse X. And that's what I think he's gonna, come up here, either above draw or below draw, and make integer circle X equals mouse X with a semicolon. So I would put rectangle X. Rectangle X. And I'm gonna just pushing play. That should bring the center of the rectangle that I've created at the center of my mouse. Nope.
It says at the bottom,
okay, so I was wrong.
Can't find anything. Cannot find process. So that is.
So let's create that variable.
It is because lots of programs need access to that.
Okay, now we're actually getting to computer stuff.
Random access memory. It's the memory of the computer. You might think of it as the brain of the computer, though that's quite flawed in many ways. But it's a place where information is stored. Somewhere in the computer's memory is the value of mouse X, right? The computer is always storing where the mouse currently is, because lots of programs need access to that. What we want to do is create our own variable. Mouse X is a built-in variable. We can think of this as a built.
Oh, maybe I messed up here. What if I got rid of rectangle mode? That might be a reason why it didn't work the first time. Okay. Nope. Yeah. Oh, actually, that's pretty cool. I think the rectangle, the paddle that I created for Breakout. Okay, this isn't working. What if I brought this in here? And if this doesn't work, then I'll just move on. Okay. So if I understand this correctly, yeah. So this did work. Cool. That's what I think he was going to go for. If we were to go for the paddle thing, that the coordinates yeah, as of right now, I just don't know how to make one shape not overlap with another shape, or not go outside of the canvas as of right now.
Oh, I'm totally off. See, I need a new...
Which is one of the reasons I love watching this guy. He goes through the process of learning. I'm still trying to learn how to learn.
Mouse X is known as a built-in variable, meaning processing just knows what it is almost magically. Of course, that was implemented by somebody. What we need now is a pointer to some place in the computer's memory that we're going to call circle X, that we're going to store some value. Yeah. And what is this? We're going to call this a user-defined variable. So we learned about built-in variables. I forgot to turn the timer on. It's been a few minutes so far. And now we want to talk about user-defined variables. We are going to make up our own variable. And if we can make up one variable, that means we can make up 1,000 variables, 10,000 variables. We can start to create enormously complex programs that are storing vast amounts of information for tons of things. But we're going to start with one variable for one circle's location. User-defined variable.
Okay. So 1, declare a variable. Number 2, initialize the variable. Wait, is it no variable or the variable? Initialize to variable. It looks like a T and a 6. It looks like an R and a 6.
Value that it's holding onto, that it's storing with optional.
Okay, use the variable.
Initialize it.
I still
certainly if we don't want step is now technically use the variable.
Okay, that is not how you do an H and an E. Fail. It's just what. Making fun of somebody who's much smarter than me. I can still criticize that that's not a that's not a that's not a the. I understand what you're trying to go for, of just speedy process, but just say use variable, initialize variable, declare variable. I don't know, I'm nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking. Now, I guess. So now we have a basic process of what he's going for. Declare, initialize, and then use.
Something like this. To draw our ellipse,
I already have
X.
Integer rectangle X equals mouse X. I already have this process. I think this is what he's going for.
This is our variable, followed by a name.
Type and name. The data type, for me, I used integer. So that's why he put type and then name. So I put integer, the data type, and then rect X, or rectangle X, is the name of my variable. And then it equals the value of my rectangle X, or rect X, is the mouse X coordinate. That is current.
Writing and processing, which is Java, which makes
what if I was to use the prior? Let's push play. Yeah, you get to see some type. There's a little bit of a delay. It's so small and so tiny. Let me compare it. Push and play. I don't know if there is a delay. I'd like to think that there was such a minor delay, but logically, I would say there is a delay because it is where the prior mouse X coordinate was, not the current one. And if there's a prior one, that means that there is some jump it has to go to get to the current one, which it'll never be at the current one. Unless the prior one is the current one, because it's always updating every microsecond.
strictly typed language. For a floating point number.
What? Oh, an integer is a negative, is a whole number, whether negative or positive. A float is a positive or negative number that has a decimal in it.
Decimal. You know what?
Yeah.
We are thinking of that. What stripes? And now we need a name. So, what is that name?
It is whatever name you want to give it, but to make it as relevant as possible to the activity you need to be using it for me, rectangle x. So, is the variable name, because that's what it's going to be used for. I can define it however I would like, but the closer you can do it, the easier it'll be to understand it. And I need to put a comment in here so I can read it next time that I come to it at a later date. I'm going to put so this. Okay. So creating my own x coordinate for the rectangle at mouse x coordinate.
We'll use term letters and mention
Circle x. I'm using rect x or rectangle x.
It's going to be a more hey.
Is he doing it before setup?
An initial value. You might also that we are about to learn about a new.
Let me try that, because when I use it in. Oh. See, this is why I think having a desktop that I can actually, or a monitor that I can have right here at face level, I think is going to be very important. Okay. I think the reason why it works with mouse X, when mouse X is initialized outside of the draw function, it only happens once. It is set. The mouse X does not repeat itself. But if I was to put it into the void draw function, the draw function repeats itself. Is it spam? Yeah. I don't know who they are. Okay. So if we put this variable into the draw function, draw continuously loops itself, and thus it refreshes the variable of rect x value. Mouse x will then will update as well. It will update this part, this value, and thus rectangle x. So, if I was to do this, I would assume it would be static in one location. Yes, it's stuck in one location because it's not updating. I need it to update, so I need to put it inside the draw function. Like it or hate it, that's where it needs to be. So I'm going to press play again, and it should now update every time. Again, it's not the prior mouse, it's the current mouse X. Okay, there's no need to do that. If I was simply going to have it as is, I could just remove this entire variable and put mouse X back into rectangle X. But if I was to use other factors there would need to be other reasons why I would have creating my own variable, other than just learning how to do that.
New kind of line of code that we line equals
function calls assignment operation. So simply put, here's a function. When you call a function, the operations within the function activate. They execute. So draw is always being called every single time. It loops itself continuously. Something that I didn't realize when I was trying to do other programming within processing earlier in my life, all those moments ago.
Going to
a while ago. A few months ago.
Sign or something. 52.
So
value 50. Look at the.
Yeah. See, that would have confused me, actually. What does 50 have anything to do with my own code? It doesn't. But I do need to take the principles of what he's talking about. Again, initial. Why is he putting circle x in the setup function? Oh, circle x's initial point is at 50. But, so let's do that right now. I'm going to put, oh, that's why he's doing it that way. He's literally initializing the variable to exist. No variable, no value to the variable. He's just initializing its existence. So I'm going to remove this integer rect x semicolon. That's it. All we're doing is initializing its existence. So and then where do I want the rectangle to start out as? I want that rectangle x coordinate to be in the center of 500, which is 250. So rectangle x, or rect x, equals 250. So when rect x is used in the draw function, it will continuously be used as, again, it's initially going to be here, but I'd probably have to move this after it. Yeah. Pushing play. Its initial point is not there. Why are you doing that? That's not what I want. Would I have to move it? Okay, I'd have to do something with it. Ooh, I hit a wall. You know, one of those emotional, whoa. What am I? A woozy wall. I hit a woozy wall just then. So, whew. Maybe I don't know what's going on. Let's see if I can get some ideas from this guy.
Player setup as it gets. Declare
the top. You're initializing the existence of a variable. You put that at the very top. The setup function is what you would initialize it to be at the very beginning, and then the draw function is how it will continuously be used.
The variable,
the loop process that it won't stop updating.
Variable name circle x of type int and
equals combined.
The initial value is 50.
Yeah, which again, that is something that I did. Initiate rect x as mouse x. Now I have rect. See, now I've complicated this entire process. I really did. Here's my reasoning. If I had a much larger program, it might be smarter to put all of my variables at the very beginning so I know what is in my program. But because it's very small, it might be beneficial to just take the initialize. It would be probably best to initialize rect x, or my variable, at the initialize, assign, and update all at the same time. I don't have to do 3 different activities, I think. I could initialize it right here and then update here. Cannot be resolved to a variable. Why not? Oh, can I not initialize it within the setup? Okay, so let me do that. Let me do this. Let me do that. Comment them out. Can I not initialize a variable inside of the setup? That's a question I have. Yeah, rect x cannot be resolved to a variable. But, okay, so I cannot initialize something inside of the setup function. Good to know. But I can initialize it inside of the draw function, which is weird. So I'm pushing play. Yeah. Now, if I want it if I wanted it to start at, how do I get the paddle to start at the very beginning? If we're using this as a breakout game, how can I get the paddle to be at the very beginning? I think that's a really good question. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to initialize rectx to exist. Then I'm going to set rectx in the starting point, rectx equals 250 to be in the middle of the x-axis, so it can be in the middle of the chart and vertically. And then down here, I'm going to just comment it out for a moment, and it will update. Will it update? It will at first be wherever rect x is, which should be at 250. But then after that, it will update continuously wherever mouse x is. But what if I removed the initial part and I updated it before the rectangle was drawn? Would it be in the middle? It doesn't go into the middle. So that is, okay, so okay. Got it. Because I put rectx up here before this one, so let me go ahead and just edit sketch file, increase the font size. Let's go with let's go with 60. I don't know if that helped. Yeah. Rectangle X, fill. Yeah, I want to see if I can update it. Create the font. Apparently it's the biggest I can do. Okay. Okay. So, because I put rectangle X, or my variable before rectangle, it doesn't have the available option of using the setup value I put. Mouse X initially is 0. Mouse Y is initially 0. So the coordinates for mouse X and mouse Y is initially 0 until I bring my mouse into the canvas. Then it starts updating. So what I need to do is bring this after the rectangle so I can then first have the setup value, and then I can start updating it. Oh, but I think I understand. Let me remove this. Let me comment it out. It first initially goes to the 250 position, I think, and then it immediately updates to mouse X, which is 0. So it immediately, after the startup, it goes into the setup, the startup position, 250. Immediately, the next frame, the next loop, is to make it to 0 because mouse X equals 0. It's going in order, so if I remove that, it should stick right in the middle. Bam. Just like that. Now I think there would be a really good function that I could put if I wanted to keep that in the middle before I could start using with my mouse, is after 3 seconds, or a countdown of going 3, 2, 1, go. And then it would immediately trigger to my mouse X. I think that would be, or mouse Y, or my mouse X. I think that would be incredibly awesome. Yeah, again, thinking that out loud of why it either worked or didn't work in that way. Because draw is a continuous loop. So if I put something in the loop, if I change the value of rect X, I would change the value of wherever the rectangle would be, or the paddle. So, goodness gracious. And the really cool part is that I would even create a function. However, I could actually create a function. I would put void paddle. So, just as an example, I'm going to click save, click run. Hopefully it works. Okay. So what I would do is I would use, instead of this, I would do this. So I would say create paddle. I don't know how to actually call a function to create a rectangle like that, but I would create the function paddle as the thing that's hitting the ball, like a ping pong ball or one of those, the paddle with the ball on a stretchy string, rubber band that you just hit, whatever that thing is called. That's what I would do though. So bringing this back, the reason that it failed before was because rectangle X kept updating its value back to 0 using mouse X, which didn't have any other value other than that, because my mouse was not on the screen. If it was on the screen, it would change to anything else. So removing void paddle. I'm going to bring this, I can keep it the way that I want. It cannot if I want to use my paddle, I can, if I want, I'm going to simplify it. It's initially going to be at 250. Okay? Well, let's do it this way. Now, section below to use paddle. So the entire thing is initialize X, initialize rect X. Here, set value to rect X. Then at the very bottom, to use paddle, rect X equals mouse. So if I uncomment this one section, let's with all these changes, I'm going to comment it back. I'm not able to use it. It is initially at the 250 or middle mark, but if I uncomment this section, press play, it changes from the 250 back to 0. And I can start now using it. Now I want to get rid of that process of just going back to 0. But now I have access to the paddle. That's really good. I have access to the paddle. So a bunch of thought process for something I've rehashed once, twice, and now a dozen times. Yeah. Okay. Here's me. But the easiest thing to do, it really is the easiest thing to do, and simple things get done. Complicated thing, complexity is the enemy of execution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, delete this. I'm going to initialize, set the value, and update the rect X variable all in one. So coordinate variable. Create, initialize, set, and update paddle X coordinate variable. Yeah, let's do it that way. Yeah, push and play. initialize, set, and update paddle x coordinate variable. So if I was to keep this in here and I wanted to only set it once or twice, or maybe even a few other other requirements, if-thens, what am I looking for? What is the command? What is the word I am looking for? Because I've literally hit, again, I said that I've hit a wall. I'm kind of like just continuing to go. Ooh, man. Yeah. What's that word? Rules. And what is that word? Requirements. It's not function. Whatever that word is, of like an if-then statement, requirement, you're creating a boundary for it, you're creating a logic for it. If I wanted to change the logic, I'd have to remove, I think, if I wanted to change either of those three, of initialize, set, and update, if I don't want to do them simultaneously, I have to change initial rect x to be in different locations. Because I can't, if I want them to be initialized, set, but then update differently, I'd have to put initialize x, rect x in either setup or the thing above it, and then set something in the setup, and then put mouse rect x equals mouse x in the draw function, because that would then start updating it. But I want to first initialize it somewhere else first. But if I wanted to initialize first and then set and update, I'd actually put the same thing. But if I wanted to just, actually those are pretty much the only two options you have. When you only have two options, as of right now, that's just what I have. So let me continue with this video. Okay. So I'm actually going to stop right here, because I need another break. I really do. It's a lot of thinking that I'm doing. Even though it's very simple thinking, it's rehashing the same idea in multiple ways, and that is, right there, man, right in the heart. It's like, it's like a fuzzy cloud. You just like, I want to sleep in it. Oh man. Okay, but I want to get back to this video as soon as possible. I'll upload it. I want to get through all of it today, but I want to get through as much as possible today. If I don't get through all of it today, then I can reward myself and even congratulate myself on what I have done, understand what I haven't accomplished, and try to figure out what I can do, what would be a more reasonable goal next time, and maybe even surpassing it or something. But understanding where I have been, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get through all of them today, but I'm going to get through as much as possible. So thank you very much for being part of this. Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And most importantly, please enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you next time. People say that, and I like it.